Joining me now, NBC News campaign and Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale, who broke all of that news, and from the Washington Post, Ashley Parker, senior national political correspondent, and Ruth Marcus, columnist and associate editor at the Washington Post, and also a Harvard lawyer. Ali, great interview. What do you make of Nikki Haley's attempt to clean up or, let's say, spin her comments?
Well, look, she's certainly trying to offer clarifications there, Andrea, but I'm so glad that you played the video because the question was exactly that, which is presenting what the Alabama Supreme Court ruled, which is that IVF-created embryos were children in their eyes, and asking Nikki Haley if she agreed with that. She did say, in fact, as you played there, that she agrees, and we went on to have a pretty lengthy conversation, several questions more, about concerns that she may have and that certainly others have expressed around the chilling effect that rulings like this one, and even subsequent legislation, should it be proposed, could have on couples trying to seek fertility treatments and trying to have children through IVF procedures. Haley then went on to say in that interview that she thought it was important for doctors and patients to be able to have candid conversations, that it was a nuanced and complex issue, one that's sensitive for families. Certainly all of that is true. But, Andrea, I think one of the reasons why we're watching Haley try so hard to clarify her comments here, and really, in my mind, it only sort of muddies the waters more because her personal opinion that embryos are babies does match with what the Alabama Supreme Court is saying, which is that they see those embryos as having the protections of children. It's because Haley has tried to have a more moderate and nuanced position on the issue of abortion access, on reproductive health. She's tried to really toe that line during the course of this primary. We've watched other Republican rivals who have since left the race really struggle with answering this question, and certainly it's one that's going to dominate in Senate and House contests down the ballot. I do just think that as it gets closer to home and as this debate strays further from the idea of abortion itself and gets deeper into what it takes for women to actually be able to have children, that makes the Republican position on this that much harder, frankly, to defend. And you land in a place like this one where Haley is taking the pro-life position that embryos are children, but when so many people use IVF to conceive, the polling shows that that is such an unpopular position to take. But we are still watching conservative legislatures across the country, in the wake of the Dobbs decision, try to continue legislating around reproductive health, branching off of abortion centrally and specifically.
And, Ashley, reproductive rights, as Ali has been saying, is such a big issue and a losing issue for Republicans in the recent cycles. The Biden campaign pouncing on this today. The vice president is going to be in Michigan talking about this as well. And the administration saying, quote, what is happening in Alabama right now is only possible because Donald Trump's Supreme Court justices overturned Roe v. Wade. Across the nation, MAGA Republicans are inserting themselves into the most personal decisions a family can make. So, Ashley, Democrats are welcoming this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as any woman of a certain age can tell you from either personal experience or the experience of friends and loved ones, infertility is devastating. It's challenging for women and their partners who want to have kids and can't. And IVF can be a godsend in some of those cases. And it's an issue, as Nikki Haley herself demonstrates with talking about how she conceived her son, that cuts across all party lines. It doesn't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican. So this is an issue that Democrats are eager to seize on because there are a lot of Republicans who have conceived with IVF or who are struggling to conceive or in the middle of fertility treatments and can only imagine what it would be like if they lived in Alabama. And so, Nick, I'll just add, Nikki Haley has often been, Democrats are worried if she ever got the nomination. She is often very nuanced on these issues. But at the end of the day, when you have to take a stance, as she did in Ali's fantastic interview, it is a stance that is widely not popular with huge swaths of the American public.
And Ruth Marcus, speaking to you as a woman who is also a Harvard lawyer and has covered politics for decades. Your Washington Post column the other day, you argued that Alabama is ushering in theocracy. You also dissect the opinion written by Alabama Chief Justice Tom Parker, in which he calls embryos little people. And I understand from other reporting that he is part of a movement, an evangelical movement, to actually be more of a missionary in terms of imposing his views And now, as the Chief Justice, he has a lot of clout, obviously, on other people.
Well, he's one vote on the Alabama Supreme Court, but his concurring opinion was one of the most, and I'm sorry to use this word because we're talking about frozen embryos, but it was one of the most chilling things I've ever read, where he really spoke in the language of theocracy. But it wasn't just his opinion. This stems from a provision of the Alabama Constitution that talks about the sanctity of unborn life. And so the Alabama Supreme Court said, if we believe in the state of Alabama that unborn life is sacred, we need to provide protections to not just to any unborn children, but to these tiny, they're tiny clusters of a few hundred cells at most. I do want to say one thing, which is I think this effort to go after IVF has been in the works for a long time among some particularly extreme segments of the anti-abortion movement. But I don't think I agree with the statement from the Biden campaign that this was only enabled by Donald Trump's Supreme Court nominees. Alabama, for better or worse, would have been able to achieve this, I think, crazy, unnecessary, and cruel result, even without the Dobbs ruling.
But the other issue is, Ruth, we're expecting a decision from this court, from the High Court, on mifepristone. And mifepristone is a medication abortion used by about 40% of the procedures in the country. So there's another shoe to drop.
Oh, absolutely. This court told us it was getting out of the abortion business. Ha, ha, ha. Not going anywhere. We're going to see any number of cases brought back to the court. The court told us that we were going to leave these issues up to the states. Not really. We now see talk about Donald Trump wanting a 16-week federal abortion ban. And by the way, if that sounds reasonable to you, it's not, and we can talk about that another time. But this court did not, Dobbs was not the final word. It just opened the door for a lot more mischief.